Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namandats, 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 namandats.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to today's family service, our first Transbay Ministerial Exchange with Reverend Melissa Opel from the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. My name is Doug Dorr, and I will be the chairperson today. I will make a more complete introduction of Sensei before her Dharma talk. We will begin this morning's service with Sambujo on pages 24 and 25 in the Purple Book. have Sutra Chanting Sei Ge on page 93 in the Purple Book. Please stand.
Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namandats. Namandats. Namandats.
Please stand for the Gatha Nembutsu 1 on page 99 in the White Book, and then remain standing for the reading of the three treasures on page 8 in the Purple Book.
Three treasures on page 8. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge. Three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves the supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assembly as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teachings. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namo Mirabutsu. Namandats. Namandats. Namandats.
Now, let me briefly introduce our guest minister, Reverend Opel. Lenny and I were very fortunate and pleased to have met Reverend Opel and her partner, Becca, in Spokane several years ago. Naturally, we're really happy to welcome Reverend Opel to our temple as part of the Transbay Ministerial Exchange. Reverend Opel received her Tokudo ordination in 2019 and then in 2022 her Kyoshi certification. Sensei was assigned to the Buddhist Church of San Francisco in 2023, where she currently serves as the head minister. Reverend Opel will now share a Dharma message with us.
All right, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me without the microphone? I know it's a funny question, right? But I just wanted to ask anyway. So, for those that maybe don't know, the Spokane Temple and, of course, the Terrell family have this really interwoven relationship because it was her father and her family that founded the Spokane Buddhist Temple. So one of the first faces I saw when I entered the Hondo was her father's face. And I'll say when Bishop asked me if I wanted to come to San Francisco, I thought, yeah, San Francisco, sure, why not? You know, it's like you're not sending me out to the countryside, so I'll take it, yeah. And then, you know, I was very, very nervous about transferring. I was freaking out. In fact, the day our moving said to Becca, I'm like, call the bishop, I'm not going. But when I was doing my first interview, I was walking down the hallway that had all the pictures of the ministers, and there was, again, Reverend Terrell's face greeting me with his pencil mustache and smile, and then I looked up and there was Reverend Castro, who was also one of my first supervising ministers. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'm supposed to go to San Francisco. And I'm so glad to have had those welcoming faces when I arrived to help our family make that decision. It's the best decision I think we've ever made in our lives. And I owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the Trout family for allowing the Dharma to flourish in Spokane so it could find somebody like me. Please join me in Gassho. Other power means to be free of any form of calculations. Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Mirabutsu, Namo Datsu. So one of my favorite radio programs, I guess, podcasts, is This American Life on NPR. And there's always, it seems like every time I listen to an episode of This American Life, I'm like, oh, that would be a great Dharma talk. So this is exactly what happened. So the title of this talk is The Thread We Hold, Reality, Delusion, and the True and Real. Is anybody here like a Weezer fan? Like you actually know who Weezer is? So a couple of people. So the thread we hold is the sweater song, you know, the Undone. So inside joke for some folks, the rest of you, I'm sorry. Anyways, there's this video on YouTube that a man named Mike watched hundreds of times over 14 years. And each time he watched it, he felt worse. Just more mortified, more guilty, more convinced that this single moment had destroyed everything. So what's on the video? The video is a performance with Weezer that lasted about 2 minutes. So here's the story. So Mike was 22, playing in a band. Their singer, Julia, had blown up on YouTube. Thousands of followers, lots of buzz. And Mike had this brilliant idea. Let's get all of our fans and Julia's fans to tweet Weezer's lead singer, Rivers Cuomo, to invite her to sing with them at this Bonnaroo festival, massive music festival. And it worked. Rivers invited Julia to play with Weezer on their main stage in front of 20,000 people. And this was it. This was the moment that would launch their careers. Mike was absolutely convinced of it. So the day of the show, Julia goes off to rehearse with Weezer on their tour bus. Mike's sitting in the way back in the bleachers with the rest of the band, watching the festival, waiting for her to come on. Finally, Julia comes out with her ukulele partway through a new song that Weezer was trying out called Trippin' Down the Freeway. And immediately, something is wrong. She's in the wrong key. And Rivers stops the song in the middle of this massive music festival. And for 62 seconds, which Mike says felt like an absolute eternity, Rivers Cuomo improvises to the crowd while Julia tries to retune. And to Mike's ears, Rivers is being cruel. He's making fun of Julia, being passive-aggressive. He says, "This is Weezer! This is a professional act! We demand perfection!" Of course, he's smiling as he says it. And Mike is just watching his friend get humiliated on stage, knowing it was his idea that put her there. The crew member sitting next to him quietly stops filming. That's how bad it's going. And eventually, Julia just gives up on the ukulele and sings. And they finish the song, and she walks off the stage. A few weeks later, Weezer's manager officially turns them down for an opening on their tour slot. They thought that if they had shown off to them that they would get that spot. And then things slowed down. Mike stopped touring with Julia and got a job at the Apple store. And for 14 years, he watched that video again and again, trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. And so finally, in his 14 years, he calls Julia, and he apologizes to her for what happened. And she says, "What are you talking about?" She never thought Rivers was mean. She thought he was being kind, helping her out of a difficult situation, kind of going with the flow, trying is the part where they were singing together and dancing. She remembers that as the good part. And she tells Mike the band didn't break up because of a tuning mistake. The thing that made my career not happen is that I couldn't take the pressure. Playing with Weezer, this isn't one of my regrets at all. Two people, same moment, completely different realities. Mike had been living in this version alone, suffering, replaying it over and over for 14 years. When Mike finally looked for other videos of that performance, he found one shot that was close to the stage, and they're smiling, they're laughing, they're dancing together with their arms around each other, and Julia was having a great time. The suffering had all been in Mike's mind. Mike saw Rivers being cruel. Julia saw Rivers being helpful. Mike saw career-ending disaster. She saw a memorable experience. And they were standing in the same place, but living completely different realities. So this is what we're going to explore today, how we create our own suffering through what Buddhism calls delusion, what Shinran Shonin calls our blind passions, and our hakurai, our calculative thinking. So of course when I say delusions, I don't mean hallucinations. Rivers did in fact make those comments. The ukulele was out of tune. These are facts. But delusion in Buddhism is deeper. It's about how we interpret what we see, the stories we construct around facts, the meaning we assign to events. The Buddha taught about avidaya, fundamental ignorance. Not ignorance of facts, but of how things truly are. We see our own projections, our own narratives, and then we suffer from those interpretations as if they were objectively real. Mike saw Rivers' comments and interpreted them as cruel mockery, and Julia heard the exact same words and interpreted them as helpful problem solving. Mike saw that end of the career, and Julia saw a memorable moment with a band she admired. And here's the crucial thinking. Mike's suffering was just as real to him as if the interpretation had been objectively true. For 14 years he carried guilt and grief over something that existed only in his mind. And this is what the Buddha means when he teaches that suffering arises from our minds. Not that our pain isn't real, it is very real, but much of it comes from how we interpret events rather than the events themselves. Mike's story shows us something Shinran Shonin identified as one of the fundamental obstacles to awakening. He gives us that specific word, hakurai. In its basic meaning, hakurai means to deliberate, to analyze, to determine a course of action. It means to arrange or manage, work out a problem, bring a plan to conclusion. But Shinran used hakurai in a very specific religious way. He was talking about the calculating mind. And will aimed at achieving liberation through our own efforts. When Shinran spent 20 years on Mount Hiei, what was he doing? He was calculating. If I meditate harder, if I purify myself more, if I study more sutras, if I perform the practices correctly, then I will be worthy of enlightenment. The next step. Shinran realized this calculating mind was the very thing preventing him from receiving what was already being offered. Great compassion illumines everyone at all times, but any contrivance to attain enlightenment by cultivating one's own virtues of capabilities, whether through moral action or religious practice, will blind one to it. The paradox is brutal. Even trying to stop calculating is another form of calculation. Even trying to rid yourself of hakurai in order to accord with the primal vow is itself hakurai. You can't think your way out of the thinking mind. So what's important is Shinran isn't just talking about religious practice. He's describing the fundamental way the unenlightened mind works, the wambu mind, the foolish being's mind. And this same calculating pattern shows up everywhere in our daily lives. So I'll give you some examples. So your teenager comes home and goes straight to their room without saying hello. Immediately hakurai kicks in. They're mad at me. What did I do? Did I say something wrong this morning? Are they in trouble at school? Should I go down to walk and see them? If I wait, will they think I don't care? If I go down, will they not be annoyed? Are they annoyed with me? Do they hate me? Do they love me? Layer upon layer of calculation, all presented by your mind as if it's just seeing reality clearly. But it's not reality, it's Hakurai, constructing a reality. You send a text to a friend and they don't respond for several hours. Hakurai. Mm. They're upset with me, or they're ignoring me. They don't value our friendship as much as I do. I should send another text. No, wait, I shouldn't send another text. That's kind of desperate. Maybe I should just send one more. Just one more, just in case they didn't hear it. Maybe the ringer's off. Maybe it's on vibrate. Maybe I should just wait. What if something is actually wrong? Your mind is calculating, interpreting, creating stories. If you're at work and your idea gets rejected in a meeting, Hakurai. That means they don't respect me. I shouldn't have spoken up. Now they think I'm incompetent, I need to prove myself, I should probably just get a new job. Maybe if I had a new job, I'd be happier. I should have explained it better. It's my fault, this is going to affect my reputation, people think I'm an idiot. Do you see the pattern? The mind that can't just experience. My idea wasn't chosen. It has to calculate what that means. What will happen? What should you do? What it proves. And listen to how Mike's Hakurai worked. I suggested this idea, therefore I'm responsible for the outcome. Rivers made jokes while Julia was tuning. Therefore he was being cruel. Therefore Julia must have been humiliated. Therefore their career was destroyed. Therefore I destroyed it. It's my fault. And each step seems logical. Each therefore feels like clear reasoning. But the whole structure is Hakurai. The calculating mind creating its own reality and then suffering inside that creation. And why this matters? Why does this matter for our understanding of Shin Buddhism? When we see our minds work in everyday life, constantly calculating, interpreting, creating stories, trying to figure things out, arranging and managing, we start to understand what Shinran meant when he called himself and us Bambu. This isn't an insult. It's an observation about how our minds actually function. We are beings whose minds are always calculating, and we can't just see things as they are. We're always adding layers of interpretation. And if this is true in everyday life, if we can't even see clearly whether our teenager is upset or just tired, if we can't stop ourselves from creating stories about an unanswered text, how much more impossible is it to calculate our way to enlightenment? And this is exactly what Shinran discovered on Mount Hiei. He wasn't just learning religious doctrine, he was confronting the actual nature of his mind. A mind that couldn't stop calculating, even in pursuit of liberation, even in a place that may have actually had ideal conditions. He says calculation refers to any kind of deliberation, planning, or design regarding our spiritual path, and any mental activity that seeks to determine the right way to make oneself deserving of the original vow. But I would add, it's also the same mental activity that seeks to determine if your friend is mad at you, whether you said the right thing, how people perceive you, and what you should do next. The religious problem and the everyday problem are the same problem. It's the calculating mind that thinks it can figure everything out, manage everything, make sense of everything through its own efforts. Shinran reminds us that other power means to be free of any form of calculations. Not just religious calculations, not just calculations about enlightenment, any form of calculations. Because ultimately, Hakurai, whether religious or secular, comes from the same source. The ego self that believes it's separate, that thinks it has to figure everything out, that's convinced it can calculate its way to safety, understanding, worthiness, or truth. Mike didn't just make a religious error, he made a human error. The error of trusting his calculative mind more than he trusted reality itself. For 14 years, he lived in that Hakurai, convinced he had it figured out. And this is where Shinran's teaching becomes very radical. You cannot fix Hakurai with more Hakurai. You cannot calculate your way free of calculation. You cannot use the thinking mind to escape the thinking mind. In the Tani Sho, it says, although I too am within Amida Buddha's grasp, blind passions obstruct my eyes and I cannot see. And in everyday life, we might say, although reality is right here, my hakurai obstructs my eyes and I cannot see. The calculating mind creates such a strong filter that we can't see what's actually happening, whether that's Amita's compassion that's already embracing us or Julia's actual experience of performing with Weezer. So if we can't trust our interpretations, if we can't calculate our way to truth, is there such a thing as true reality? In Jodo Shinshu, we speak of the true and real, and Shinran teaches us something profound. The true and real is not something we figure out through calculation or achieve through effort to see clearly. The true and real is the Nembutsu, Namo Mirabutsu. It is Amita's compassion embracing us exactly as we are, with all our deluded passions, all our calculative thinking, and all of our constructed realities. The Nembutsu is not our construction. It's not dependent on our interpretation. It is Amita's call to us, unchanging, constant, and true. What changed for Mike after 14 years? It's not that he suddenly remembered correctly or achieved objective truth. What changed is that his tight grip on his narrative loosened. He saw that his suffering had been created by his hakurai, the thread he'd been holding, pulling his whole world into a knot. He could finally let it go. And then he didn't figure out the truth, he just stopped needing to. And this is what happens when we say the Nembutsu with true and trusting, free of doubt. We're not claiming I've figured out reality. We're saying I cannot figure out reality through my own power, but I am held by something greater than my calculations. Shinran wrote, Shinjin is the world minus our calculating mind. Namo Mirabutsu doesn't change facts, but it frees us from the suffering we create by clinging to our interpretation of those facts. So how do we bring this into our daily life? First, we hold interpretations lightly. When you're obsessing over what really happened, replaying conversations, convinced you know, recognize it's hakurai at work. For those 14 years, Mike was certain of what had been experienced, and he was wrong. How many threads are we holding that we think are real, but are actually just our calculations? Second, have compassion for differing realities. In those 14 years that Mike spent being angry at Rivers on his friend's behalf, for something that Julia never saw is cruel. So how often do we defend people who don't need defending, create conflict where there is none, and assume we know someone else's experience? When we recognize our own calculations, we can be more humble, we can ask rather than assume, and we can listen rather than calculate. The third is we return to the Nembutsu. When you catch yourself in endless calculation, you don't need to figure out how to stop. That would just be more calculation. Just say, Namo Aminabutsu. I take refuge. I am held exactly as I am. Interpret the narrative with the true and real. Fourth, be honest about limitations. Part of what Mike kept suffering was that he couldn't admit that he didn't know. He had to have an explanation. But sometimes the most honest thing is, I don't know what that meant, and I don't know what they were thinking. Jodo Shinshu doesn't ask us to have all the answers or see perfectly. It asks us to recognize that we can't, and to take refuge in the compassion that holds us anyway. If someone says something at work that bothers you, and your hakurai calculates that they don't respect you, just remember that might be an interpretation. And instead of spiraling, say Namo Mirabutsu. When you make a mistake, Namo Mirabutsu. Someone you care about is suffering, Namo Mirabutsu. We have to let go of the threads we're holding so tightly. Because all of these threads, stories that we tell ourselves, the interpretation we cling to, the calculations about what things mean, each thread pulls us away from the true and real. Shinran offers us something different. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to see clearly through your own efforts. Just say the Nembutsu, just take refuge. Please don't take that as don't ask questions, because we'll ask lots of questions. But Amita's compassion doesn't wait for you to see clearly or get your interpretations right. It embraces you exactly as you are, blind passions, hakurai, delusions, and all. That is the true and real. That is what doesn't change, even when everything else shifts and turns out to be different than we thought. Please join me in Gashua. Other power means to be free of any form of calculations. Namo Mirabitsu. Namo Mirabitsu. Namo Mirabitsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei, for your Dharma message. Please stand now for the Gatha, We Are One, which is in the White Book on page 150 through 152. Please be seated. We would like to thank all of those who helped with the altar preparations and with the service. Again, thank you very much, Reverend Opel. Also, thank you to Brian and Morgan for working on YouTube. The altar flowers, thanks to Jane. Our organist, thanks to organist Lenny. And thanks to all of those of you who brought refreshments today. We'd like to welcome newcomers or visitors today. Can you please stand and introduce yourselves? Anybody?
Hello, my name is Eris. These are my parents. Thank you for having me.
Becca, can you please stand?
I am Becca. This is my wife.
Did I miss anybody else? Great, thank you. Announcements. Next Sunday, March 15th, will be a family service. The Sunday after that, March 22nd, is Spring Ohigan service, and there will be an Ask Reverend Dennis session with that service. Sunday, March 29th, there's no service because that's the 5th Sunday of the month. Are there any other announcements or special announcements? No, I guess we covered it. Okay. Today is also birthday Sunday, believe it or not, for March. We would like to celebrate all of those who have a birthday in the month of March. So if you were born in March, please come forward so that we can do our standard wishing of a happy birthday and singing of happy birthday and a photo op. March. Dorothy, come on.
Anybody else, please?
Dorothy, the only one.
So as tradition, we bring our quarters. Only thing I did calculating, and I would have to have 300 quarters. So I thought, Joyce, you would not want to count them all, so we got some other bills.
Okay, it's the photo opportunity. You have to stay up there, Dorothy, and Sensei, please join.
How do I get out of here?
It's hard to find a way down. You can come down either way, whatever.
This is worth it. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dorothy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you to everyone for attending this morning's service. Please come forward to offer incense, and then please join us for refreshments in the social hall.